it's Colin with Self-Made Millionaire Tips. I'm here with Johnny Kometz from Equity Trust and Guy Gottsack, my founder of My Digital Money. And we're talking about a lot of things, crypto, money. Obviously, we're not giving any financial advice. We're just here talking off the cuff. And did you guys see, before we get into it, did you guys see that $14 million in gold and silver was stolen out of the Toronto airport? Did you guys hear that?
Whoa!
Yeah, they stole it out of the air. They haven't revealed that many. Fairleigh knows about this.
In broad daylight.
Broad daylight.
They
Now,
just walked out with gold bars.
yeah. So it's funny because Fairleigh and I actually we were there. We were in Toronto pretty recently, and I remember telling Fairleigh, I said, "God, these people are nice. These are the nicest people. The people in Toronto were unbelievably nice. Welcome home. They don't know where my home is." The security, everybody's smiling. And
But remember his basis of comparison is LAX.
LAX, LAX is they're not smiling there, and they're not happy, and they're not welcoming you home. I can tell you that.
What are you doing here?
And I just remember just walking through that, just thinking, God, this place is it's everyone's so sweet here, and sure enough, they're little too sweet and a little too nice because, $14 million in gold and silver walked out. And we obviously at Noble Gold, we store gold, and we have a depository outside of Toronto in Ontario. Not many people choose it. We were the first company to store IRAs in Texas.
Awesome.
And I think people feel much more comfortable in Texas and safer.
People aren't as nice as
they're not
They
as
got guns.
they're nice, just a different, they're different kind of nice.
So 15 million worth of gold bars. So that would be about 200 pounds.
200 pounds of gold bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right after you guys were there.
That's heavy.
Yeah. We weren't there during this, by the way. I just want to say I have witnesses of where I was.
So it
You have an
would
alibi.
be like as heavy as a cow, I think.
200
200
pounds?
pounds?
No, sorry, 200 kilos, not
Kilos.
200 kilos. Yeah, it's not too heavy, though.
It's a little bit
200
more.
pounds.
No, it's not 2 pounds. I mean, it's not.
2.2 pounds kilo, right? Something like that.
Yeah, it's not so.
Because an ounce is 1 kilo would be 35 ounces.
Right. Yeah. It's not that much. It's surprising the weight. I mean, a few
6
hundred.
feet by 11 feet is the
Yeah.
size of them.
Yeah,
Wow.
we could. That's a good little getaway.
That's
there.
that's why it was so small.
Yeah, it was so small. So which proves no asset's perfect. But we're
Right.
talking about crypto today. We're talking about what we do. People ask me all the time, what is a crypto IRA? What can you? We still get this. We got this one in the gold business too. People don't know you can put gold in their IRA, but you can put crypto in your IRA. And so maybe I'll go to Guy first. What are some of the reasons maybe why people don't know about this and why it should be interesting to people to look into?
Yeah, why people don't know about it. I think, people kind of focus on the now, not as much, on
Future.
what happens when I retire. That's been a trend for a while, and unfortunately, a
get
lot
rich
of people,
quick kind of thing.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, a lot of people, over half Americans say that they can't retire though they want to, and they end up working like much later than they used to now.
Yeah.
So I think that's partly why is the focus isn't there, and people just don't know about it, and that's part of our goal is to just raise awareness.
Yeah. Do you think in the crypto space, people just, obviously we've talked about FTX and people, how do they jump into things? And, the crypto IRA aspect, it does take a little bit more thinking, a little bit more preparation, but the idea behind it, the tax savings is extraordinary, right? I mean,
Yeah, I love it myself because I don't need to worry about taxes. I can just swing trade in my account
Right.
and not have to worry about taxable events. If it's a traditional IRA, eventually I have to pay taxes.
sure.
With Roth, I don't. So I love the tax advantages because of the compound growth, right? I can
Right.
basically sell and then take my gains and then reinvest them when I'm in a bear market again.
Right.
And do that over time, over 10, 15 years.
Yeah. And it seems like when you talk to people, so many people will hold on to an asset too long. They'll hold on to it longer than they should because they're worried about the tax.
Yeah.
And that's I think one of the things that I've learned as being an investor is that there is time to just take some profit, right? And I think that the crypto IRA, it's less cumbersome. You don't have to worry about the tax. So maybe you're going to make a smarter decision. Wouldn't you say, Guy?
Yeah,
potentially?
definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I have both. I have a, taxable account and I have an IRA account with us. And I'm much more active in the IRA account.
Sure.
Because I don't have that extra pressure, of the taxes.
Yeah, because listen, with the volatility and the potential growth, I mean, off air, you told me a little bit about some of the stuff you've been able to do, Johnny, in crypto, and I'm assuming you didn't have it in an IRA when you were able to do it, but you've seen people, you've read stories. I mean, some of these gains are just unbelievable,
insane.
And the idea that they have to worry about the tax, and that's another aspect of it, and they weren't prepared for it.
Yeah.
So maybe tell me your thoughts, Johnny, on the crypto IRA. And
I'd love to. So one of the biggest things, going back to the taxes burden, I would say, is, the IRS increased their funding by how much this year?
Well, I know they added, I don't know how many agents they added, but yeah, there was a big part of that bill last year was to increase the IRS. And they're going to be watching much closer. And not to interrupt you, but I was just thinking about the first time I had to report my taxes for crypto.
It's a pain.
And I remember my CPA just said, just write it down and tell me what they were. And so I did. And I was, if anyone's listening, I was honest. And I always am, because I don't want to get audited like everybody else. But I remember it was so antiquated that she didn't even have a way for me to give her any data. It was literally like, you bought it for this, you sold it for this, keep that, and then tell me how much you gained. And that was it. And now and there's, some people out there that probably bought crypto at those prices. And now, I mean, they could have, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in taxes due that they're not prepared for.
100%.
So that's the idea behind the crypto IRA, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's great too. So especially for younger, Americans that really, we don't have the opportunity to save for retirement, like our parents did.
Sure.
Like anybody really born after 1980 is kind of finding themselves in a bit of a predicament, because retirement savings are the lowest they've ever been against this age group, millennials, Gen Z. So, this is not financial advice, but, history shows the potential for returns in this asset class, especially with the more reliable and safe investments like Bitcoin. Again, not financial advice, but if you're looking to catch up and make up some ground, this is definitely an option that you should investigate and look into and see if it's right for you, because I personally know some people have had some really good success in this.
So is this a better method than a standard trading account?
You mean standard in crypto?
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you can do it in an IRA, it's always preferred.
Yeah.
What are the downsides? What are the downsides of an IRA in crypto in terms of doing a standard account, Guy? What would you say the downsides?
I mean, one obvious one is, if you want to pull out your money, or you get a penalty.
Sure.
Contribution limits too. You can
and there's contribution limits, so there's only so much that, every year it's between 6,000 and 7,000 you can contribute.
Right.
But you can also transfer an existing IRA if you already have one.
Sure.
That's sizable. You can always transfer that over, right? There's no limit there, but yeah, there is a limit overall.
Yeah. Are we seeing a trend? Do you think that we're going to see more traditional employers offer crypto in their 401k offerings?
Interesting.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's going to become, or do you think it's still too volatile to kind of go down that path?
I think we're heading in that direction. Especially with all of the news of all the institutional investment providers or financial investment providers getting into this space and setting up, whole departments. And you hear something new. Just recently we saw Visa's head of crypto talking about their new crypto offering. That's coming to light here pretty soon. I mean, we're seeing these big major financial players starting to get in the game, which is why I think we're seeing so much push for regulation too.
Sure.
And yeah, I think it's really going to be a staple, because it's just where we're headed. It's going to be a staple in people's investment and retirement accounts.
So you think like a traditional, Paychex account that has a 401k option, they're just going to have, you'll have a bit either. Do you think you'll be able to buy Bitcoin, or you think they're going to just put a fund in there? Seems like a lot of times you get a fund, right, Guy? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that eventually, but there's a lot of regulatory uncertainty. I don't know from that standpoint if it'll fly or not, but I know companies are interested in offering it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, we're seeing these ETFs, which are trying to gain some of the market in cryptocurrencies. And in terms of an ETF in crypto, comparatively to just buying a specific crypto, what do you think sort of pros and cons are with an ETF over just buying a specific crypto?
ETF, it gives you exposure to the price performance of crypto, but not directly exposure to the crypto itself. And you got to see what crypto is included in that ETF as well. So, right.
It's going to be Bitcoin. It's going to be Ethereum, right? It's going to be the major ones.
Yeah, I think it's a positive thing because it gives you that exposure to a variety of. It gives you diversification through investment in one vehicle. So
yeah,
pretty good call.
It's for people that want exposure but don't want to take control completely.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas what I've found in being in the precious metal space and now in the crypto space for a number of years is a lot of people want more control, and I think that's the thing about owning in an IRA with My Digital Money or one of these is that you make your own choices. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people like that, especially there's, the management fee aspect of some of these mutual funds can get really high. You're talking
insanely
1% to 2% a year. Sometimes in alternative assets can be higher. Whereas if you buy a crypto with us, you're going to buy it, you pay your commission, but then you don't have that same management fee, right, Guy? I mean,
the gains are all your gains.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why we left out the most important part of the IRA. It's the self-directed IRA.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're calling the shots.
It's the best part is you're the boss, and the worst part is you're the boss.
Right? Yeah, you have nobody to blame.
Well, one of the biggest concerns of many people is the it's still very volatile. Yeah. So now Bitcoin actually slid down back to 27,000 after crossing 30,000. So what do you say to people who look at it and say, I can't count on this kind of a...
It shouldn't be in my opinion, it shouldn't be the asset you're trying to count on. I mean, this is anything that can go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50x in a short amount of time is typically a risky investment. And so this is your risky pile. I talk about it a lot as someone that's invested in a number of businesses. I actually have another business that I'm looking to invest into in the next few months. Businesses are, you try to take as much of the risk out of it as you can, but there's obviously a high level of risk. Yeah. Crypto, there's a high level of risk there, even though we are seeing institutional money come into it and a lot more adoption coming into it. So I think those things will really help the price of crypto in the future, but there is going to be that short-term sort of volatility. It's going to be that, up and down movement. And a lot of people can't handle that. They can't handle that volatility. And I'd say if you can, it's not the investment for you. No. You should stay away from it.
Absolutely not.
It's not going to, the volatility is not going anywhere.
Not anytime soon, no. But at some point it is going to level itself. I mean, if you just look comparatively over the last decade or so, it's come down quite a bit from where it was. And I mean, just say 2013. I mean, we saw Bitcoin drop all the way down to 1 penny, and then a year later, 2 years later, it's up at $1,100. So, I mean, it's a pretty volatile asset.
That would have been a pretty big tax problem for a lot of people there. A penny to $1,100.
Exactly, but
that's
a
massive
problem to have.
It is a good problem to have, but it's a problem, and
it's exactly right.
And we talk to people all the time. I mean, as a business owner, friends that are business owners that do very well, like it's such a big part of the conversation is, all right, you're making some money now. How do you keep a good amount of it? How do you protect it? And there's legal ways to do it. And the crypto IRA is the legal way to do it and protect your gains. So I mean, obviously we saw Bitcoin pull back. We saw the Ethereum upgrade happen. Anything else this year that you guys think that people in the crypto space should be looking out for? Anything else on the horizon? I know we have the halving
Yeah, that's 2024.
2024. That's not too far.
That's actually about a year away right now.
It's about a year away from the halving, so that's interesting. Anything else on the horizon, Johnny? What do you see out there?
Coming up pretty soon, we have the next Fed announcement about a rate hike. So, looking at 25 basis points, but we all know that that decision affects the price of and volatility of the entire crypto market right now because it directly affects everything else in the economy. So, depending on
why do you say that, Johnny? Because I think it's sort of a broad. I have my thoughts of why it does that, but why do you think the Fed movement has such an effect on the crypto price?
Well, I mean, going back to if you charge banks more money to borrow money, then this is kind of what happened with SVB, which is why they kind of went down. Is they weren't planning ahead for increased interest rate hikes and just couldn't continue to maintain their rates of borrowing at those rates.
Yeah, but when you take liquidity out of the market, risk-on assets are the first to get affected, and crypto's been acting as a risk-on asset, like a tech stock.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think we're at crypto's .com moment, right? So I think this last crash, this last bear market that we're finally, I think, getting through is going back to, say, something like 1999, 2000, where we saw the .com tech stocks just kind of explode, implode. But then you had Amazon going on to, push far and beyond its previous all-time highs because it was one of the major players that stuck. Imagine, looking at the market right now and saying, hey, that's going to be the next Amazon. And this isn't financial advice at all, but I mean, you can kind of clearly see which ones at this point, are going to stick around. There's going to be some that surprise people, of course, but
yeah, I do think in my opinion, one of the big things that make it difficult out there in the crypto space is I do believe it's too easy to create a crypto.
Oh yeah, you can just go online right now and make an ERC20 token. It's just for the price of gas fees.
Yeah, and I think that's the part of the regulation that I am excited about is once these companies, these exchanges realize that there's some parameters in place, I think they'll be much more prone to reject cryptos that don't have any stability. And I think that'll be better for the market in general. I think they should be similar to what happens in any of the indexes, right? You can't just jump your company onto the S&P. Yeah. That exclusivity creates a market. And I think that's where we're going. That's my opinion, is that exclusivity will make the market stronger. What are your thoughts, Guy, in terms of remaining this year? What are some of the things that you're seeing out there that could affect?
I mean, the obvious one is the Ethereum upgrade that will really...
That's coming out.
Add scalability. There's no precise date as far as I know, but that upgrade will enable the network to really scale into Web3 kind of world where you have lower gas fees.
That's the most important thing, right?
That's the most important thing.
Yeah,
because it's now feasible to operate like, let's say, like a Visa-like application that has a lot of transactions per second.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a good one.
I think that will change because there's a lot of tokens out there built on Ethereum.
Yeah,
right? It's the largest smart contract network. So,
that's exciting. And these conversations have been great, and I really appreciate you coming down, Johnny.
I appreciate you guys having me in. Thank you,
Guy. I know you didn't want to be here, so I appreciate you coming. Also,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, exactly, and yeah, Millionaire Tips, another exciting. Self-made millionaire tips. I can't get the name right of the podcast. By the 8th episode, I'll have it right.
This is the
7th episode. I'll get it right. I got one more, and then I'll get it right. Thanks everybody for coming, listening, and thank you guys for coming down.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for
having
having
me so much.